Evelyn Marsh hadn't intended to collapse when she arrived at the ranch's entrance, but her legs buckled as she urged her famished little ones ahead and murmured, "Please accept them. They won't last much longer with me." Caleb Rock, the struggling rancher, battered by countless lean years, halted at the vision. He'd witnessed famine in the past, but never a parent pleading to part from her very own blood. "Ma'am," he replied cautiously, "that's not a choice I'd ever make." Evelyn attempted to rise, stumbled once more. She clutched Lucy and Tom tightly, as if bracing for someone to wrench them from her grasp. "I can't nourish them any longer," she confessed, her voice raw. "You appear sturdy enough to attempt it." Caleb almost chuckled at the notion. Sturdy wasn't a term folks applied to a cattleman. Just one poor yield from forfeiting it all, yet the manner in which her daughter gripped her hem and her son's sunken gaze turned ridicule into something profane. He knelt nearby, offering his name gently so as not to alarm the youngsters. "I'm Caleb Rock. I manage this spread by myself." His palm lingered in the air, unintrusive. He knew that expression in Evelyn's gaze, the very one he'd glimpsed in bereaved women after tempests or infernos, the expression of a soul steeling for the inevitable strike. "Please," she breathed, "take them, only them." "No," Caleb stated it with such resolve it jolted her. "If they remain, so do you." Evelyn shook her head fiercely. "I won't become a liability. My husband, he—" She faltered, remorse strangling her words. But Caleb comprehended. Fellows who shattered more than they constructed left scars that lingered. "You're trembling," Caleb observed. "The children are chilled to the bone. Come in, there's soup. Not abundant, but it's warm." Evelyn wavered, as if crossing that doorway would demand more than she possessed. She regarded her offspring. Lucy's lips had turned pale blue. Tom mewled for a sip. Dignity held no sway now. Within the modest, rugged dwelling, Caleb ladled the remnants of his thinned-out stock into 3 mugs. He skipped his own share. Evelyn observed. She resented that she observed. "I didn't arrive to pilfer from you," she declared, fingers wrapped around the vessel, yet not sipping. "I came because my options vanished." "Then you found the proper soul," Caleb responded. "I'm short on options too." Their gazes locked, hers brimming with regret, his brimming with resolute compassion. When Tom drifted off against Caleb's torso, Evelyn jolted once more, not from dread, but from beholding a stranger cradle her boy as if he were precious. "You can linger till morning," Caleb suggested, smoothing the cover the lad. "Come dawn, we'll plot the path ahead." Evelyn gulped. "I can depart at first light. Just allow the little ones to slumber." Caleb rose, weariness etching deeper grooves around his lips. "Mrs. Marsh, if anyone's departing at sunrise, it won't be you." In the hush that ensued, optimism and alarm intertwined so intimately they blurred into one. Evelyn Marsh, roused before the sun crested, resolved to settle what she viewed as an obligation. The bereft woman had endured too many moons, hearing she contributed not worthwhile, and she refused to burden yet another fellow with her young. Thus she crept from Caleb Rock's abode, intent on stacking kindling despite her quivering limbs. Caleb, the beleaguered herder, a vigilant dozer from seasons of safeguarding his scant holdings, caught the faltering squeak of frost beneath boots and emerged precisely in time to witness Evelyn teeter. She leaned against the splitting log, chin set, feigning vigor she lacked. "You needn't bother with that," he said, closing the gap in a pair of swift strides. "You're scarcely upright." Evelyn tensed. "I can labor. I've always managed. I won't accept your provisions without earning them." Caleb refrained from contact, merely positioned himself to catch her if she toppled. "Resting carries no disgrace. Your young require you solid more than I crave logs." The sentiment wounded deeper than it soothed. Evelyn wasn't accustomed to tenderness. It left her vulnerable, and vulnerability struck as perilous. She parted her lips to protest, but a faint timbre from the threshold halted her. "Mama." Lucy, 7 summers young, unusually subdued for a girl, observed them with concern in her stare. Her slender limbs encircled her frame as though perpetual chill clung to her. Evelyn summoned a grin. "Head indoors, darling. I'm all right." But she wasn't, and Caleb perceived it. He ushered them both within, eased Evelyn into a seat, and ignited the range for tea. He offered no sermon, no sympathy. He simply proceeded with the subdued assurance of one who dwelt solitary too long, discovering that nurture required no oration. Lucy edged nearer, timid yet intrigued. Caleb lowered to her stature. "Your sibling still dreaming?" She dipped her head. "Tom hacks through the dark." Evelyn winced. She'd exhausted every remedy. Damp rags, heated rocks, supplications, and yet her 4-year-old air roused gasping. Remorse lodged thick in her gullet. When Tom's hacking intensified that midday, Evelyn's alarm surged. She hastened to his pallet, palms fluttering as she tested his brow. "He's aflame," she uttered. Caleb knelt alongside. "Permit me to check." Tom extended toward the herdsman on impulse, startling them equally. Caleb hoisted the wee lad to his breast and swayed him softly, a gesture untouched since his infant sibling's ague ages past. Evelyn beheld, divided betwixt thankfulness and mortification, an outsider tending finer than she might. It mirrored defeat. Caleb seemed to divine the notion. "You didn't summon this. Want gnaws at the young. He craves heat and repose." The comfort splintered her poise. "I oughtn't be here. You scarcely sustain yourself." "Perhaps," Caleb conceded, "but that doesn't compel you to flee." Evelyn blanked. "I wasn't." "You were," he noted plainly. "I caught you bundling your belongings ere the sky lightened." Her respiration snagged. He'd overheard all. Ere she could retort, Tom's gasps steadied, his diminutive fist clutching Caleb's collar like a lifeline. Caleb offered a subtle grin. "Observe, he's sturdier than he seems." Evelyn swallowed roughly. "I can depart on the morrow once he's mended." Caleb straightened, boy in arms. "Mrs. Marsh, if you stride forth deeming yourself an encumbrance, that would truly weigh upon me." Evelyn averted her eyes, moisture welling. Caleb spoke no flowery phrases, but his intent rang true. And for the first occasion in moons, she pondered not flight, but footing firm. Caleb Rock had shunned the settlement for fortnights. Yet Tom Marsh, Evelyn's 4-year-old lad, required tonic for the persistent wheeze. Thus he yoked the cart at dawn's edge, aiding Evelyn and the young to board. He noted how she positioned herself as distant as the bench permitted, as if space might lighten the remorse she bore. "It'll pass swiftly," Caleb remarked softly. Evelyn Marsh merely inclined her head. The widow clasped her digits rigidly, nails blanching. She loathed relying on him for aught, even passage. Upon entering the hamlet, the murmurs ignited at once. Bitterroot scorned affliction not with open arms, but with tongues. A duo of ladies gawked, hissing behind veiled palms. A farmhand leered as he sauntered by. But the financier, Mr. Talbert, intercepted their route outright. "Rock," he greeted with an icy smirk, "never figured you'd ferry surplus dependents. Your accounts claim you can't sustain your lone self." Caleb tautened. "That's my affair." Talbert's scrutiny drifted to Evelyn and the offspring. "A bereft soul and 2 wee mites. You'll drown your holdings in benevolence, and upon ruin the vault claims all." Evelyn absorbed the barb like a buffet. She seized Lucy's palm, poised to draw her young from the humiliation. "Caleb, let's fetch the remedy." But Talbert pressed on. "This pact, be it what it may, bodes ill for you and yours." Caleb advanced, mandible clenching. "You speak not of them." Onlookers lingered on the lane, scenting discord. Evelyn's face flushed. Her reflex remained unchanged. Bolt ere another dictated her doom. "I'll linger by the cart," she whispered, retreating. Caleb tracked her withdrawal, a pang coiling in his core. He despised how she perpetually anticipated discard. After procuring the elixir, he neared the cart to discover it vacant. Evelyn had already trudged the lane beyond the bounds, Lucy nipping at her hem, Tom drowsing in her embrace. Caleb overtook her briskly. "We're bound," he pressed. "I refuse to cost you your spread," she replied, gaze forward. "You heard his words. I'm unraveling it all." Caleb planted before her, compelling her upward glance. "You reckon I'll permit you to trudge into the frost with 2 ailing young because a moneylender fancies his echo?" Her eyes gleamed, not rebellion, but surrender. "You don't grasp. Lads like him, they triumph eternally. "Not this morn," Caleb countered, "and not involving you." Evelyn denied with a shake. "Caleb, you eke by for your own sake. You oughtn't bear us." "I'm not shouldering solo. You're aiding beyond your ken." Skepticism lingered till Tom roused, pawing toward Caleb, minuscule digits questing. Caleb accepted the child tenderly, nestling him to his frame. Tom eased forthwith. At the tableau, something yielded in Evelyn. Caleb's timber gentled. "Return to the cart if you will." Evelyn tarried, then assented. The journey homeward hushed, yet altered from prior. Not taut, not timorous, just serene, as though a pivot had turned, and for the initial instance, neither discerned who had rescued whom that day. The flurry commenced at twilight, subtle at onset, then dense enough to obliterate the vista past Caleb Rock's panes. Evelyn Marsh recognized gales such as these. They scourged the unwary, the sort that had claimed her spouse well ere his mishap sealed it. She held the young near as Caleb secured the casements doubly. "We'll be housebound a while," he noted, fastening the bolt. "Likely clears in a day or so." Evelyn dipped her chin, though unease knotted her belly. Flakes betokened inertia. Inertia invited rumination, and rumination summoned recollections. That eve Tom's rasp resurfaced, keen and abrupt, jarring his frail form. Evelyn hastened to him, terror ascending swift. Caleb stood ready, unyielding as timber, elevating the 4-year-old to his knee. "He'll mend," Caleb soothed, tracing languid arcs along the child's spine. "He's hacking, yet inhaling steadily." Evelyn clamped her knuckles to her lips. "I daren't forfeit him." "Nor either." "You shan't," Caleb affirmed, resolute yet kind, "not with me present." The gale intensified by daylight. Sleet pelted the beams. Gusts wailed through fissures like beasts unbound. Evelyn traversed the space, incapable of repose, of unlabored breath. Caleb regarded her long ere voicing. "You fear abiding," he said low, "not the gale." She halted. "I dread craving this," she confided. "Craving you, craving aid. Each time I bond with another, fate seizes them." Caleb held his ground, withheld advance, for in aged tales suitors seldom near sans consent, and he'd mastered caution with scarred spirits. "You're solitary no more," he stated plainly. "Not this night, not amid this tempest, not henceforth." Ere Evelyn could respond, Tom's rasp honed to peril. His frame blazed like forge iron. Dread lanced her. "He's scorching, Caleb, scorching anew." Caleb snatched his wrap. In motion. "I'll procure further tonic." "You mustn't venture there," Evelyn implored. "You'll perish in the freeze." He lingered solely to hold her stare. "I'd brave fiercer for that lad." And forth he plunged, engulfed by pallor. The spans elongated like eternities. Evelyn perched by Tom's flank, dabbing his temple, intoning pleas unspoken since girlhood. Lucy nestled to her, quaking. When the portal flew ajar at last, Caleb staggered in. Frost rhymed his garb. Limbs quivered from bite, yet grasped firm on the vials. Evelyn steadied him by the arms as his stance yielded. "I warned you against it," she said, timber fracturing. Caleb mustered a wan curve. Warranted. She aided him to the settle, swathed him in quilts, and for the premiere across the season, permitted tears unbound, not from alarm, but the heft of one electing them. Later, as Tom's heat ebbed and Caleb's tremors waned, Evelyn perched opposite by the hearth. The maelstrom thundered without, yet the abode brimmed with stillness. "I dreaded craving you," she uttered gently. "Yet this night I discerned I already do." Caleb met her with a glow unshielded. "Well," he replied, "for I crave you likewise." For the premiere across the season, the tumult beyond felt no foe. The true peril, the qualm within, had commenced its melt. When the season's vice at last relented on Caleb Brock's acres, the ranch seemed nigh alien. The realm had tilted overnight. Thaw birthed slushy trails. The vault softened from pitiless, and breezes wafted damp loam over dread. Evelyn Marsh ventured the veranda one dawn with Lucy and Tom, beholding dawn gild a domain no longer mere haven. She cast to Caleb, mending a fractured rail, laboring with measured poise, frame eased for the first since their encounter. It dawned on her how innate he appeared amid solace, how profoundly the frost had hewn till verity endured. "You're stirring betimes," Caleb observed, arching a playful brow. Evelyn lifted a shoulder. "Slumber flees when existence ceases assault." He rumbled a deep, resonant note she suspected eternal. Their hours wove a cadence no longer mere endurance. Evelyn aided in stitching barriers, sowing nascent yields. She recalled her sire's tutelage on vernal tilth, and astonished Caleb with her field poise. Meanwhile, Caleb hewed down boughs, sealed the eaves, and schooled Lucy in sound lashings, while Tom shadowed him omnipresent. It remained unpolished, yet shed raw exigency. Yet the Hamlet menace persisted. One noontide, the lender, Mr. Talbot, approached the rutted trail, ledger in tow, that identical haughty scowl. Caleb advanced, frame shielding, sans ostentation. Talbot scanned the restored bounds, the tilled loam, the emblems of renewal. "Scarcely anticipated advancement," he yielded reluctantly. "Believed harboring waifs would doom you." Evelyn braced, but Caleb forwent retort. "We're faring," he stated level. Talbot leafed his tome, then snapped it shut. "Rock, you're tardy, yet salvageable. I'll prolong your term." His glance skimmed Evelyn. "Evidently you've assembled labor." Caleb's mandible firmed. "Evidently I've forged a hearth." Talbot forwent dispute. He wheeled and departed, trailing grit and the subtle aura of conquest. That gloaming Evelyn strolled the sward with Caleb, the young pursuing athwart. Twilight sloped, bathing all in amber, the rails they'd bound, the plot they'd seeded, the existence they molded. "You redeemed us," she murmured. Caleb negated. "Evelyn, reckon I truly lived ere your arrival. I merely inhaled. You and the young bestowed purpose worth toil." She paused, inhalation seizing. His candor pierced keenest. "Caleb," she ventured, timber quivering faint, "I can't divine our morrow, but I know I shan't forsake what we've unearthed." He neared, scant space betwixt. Then linger. Evelyn lifted to him, truly beheld, and sensed a fragment alight within, a shard adrift since calamity's dawn. "Asking me to abide," she whispered. Caleb loosed a measured sigh. "Asking you to abide as consort, as peer, one I select, who selects me." Her reply flowed unbidden. "Yes," she exhaled, "I'm selecting you." Lucy shrilled afar, Tom chortled. Zephyr stirred the blades like a claim. Caleb extended for Evelyn's palm, not seizing, not salvaging, but beckoning. She clasped. United they surveyed the terrain agleam in day's farewell. Aware this once endurance told not the tale. The tale was the existence they'd erect abreast, valiant enough to endure.
Friends, if you enjoyed this story, visit my YouTube channel for more interesting and emotional videos. The link is given in the description and in the bio. Just tap and explore more content like this. And yes, if you subscribe to the channel, it makes me truly happy and motivates me to create better stories for you every day. Your support means everything. If you want to help us grow even more, you can also send stars. Each star is a huge encouragement for our work. Thank you so much for watching and supporting.